Hey everyone, welcome back to another Blast from the Past G.I.Joe Classified Edition action figure review. And today we're going to be looking at my personal favorite character from the G.I. Joe line, Storm Shadow. Now, Storm Shadow is depicted as a Cobra agent in his appearances in the cartoon, the Sunbow cartoon. And I never actually watched the Deke cartoon continuation that occurred a few years after the 1987 G.I. Joe the movie, which was also done by Sunbow. So I don't know if they portrayed him as a hero in that one. I think they did. I seem to recall they used the Ninja Force version of Storm Shadow in the Deke cartoon, and that he was a Joe at that point. But in any case, his arc in the comics was one of the best of a character, probably the best of any Joe character. Larry Hama really overused Snake Eyes, in my opinion, but because Snake Eyes can't talk, he didn't really have as much of a character arc. Like, he was always the same from the beginning of the comic to the end of the comics, pretty much. But Storm Shadow had a lot of growth and development in his character. And he... just the fact, if you didn't grow up in the 80s, you don't really know that how big ninjas were to kids around then. I mean, I had ninja magazines when I was a child, just magazines about ninjas. They actually had that, sold that in the supermarkets and whatnot. So I had Ninja Magazine. I watched ninja movies, like Pray for Death and Enter the Ninja, stuff like that. And so Storm Shadow, of course, was my favorite character. I remember when I got him, the original one in the 80s. I can't remember the event. All I remember is I had him in the car on the way to church. Like, my parents had given him to me at some point, and I had opened him while we were in the car driving to church that morning, and was playing with him in the car until we got to church. So that's how I remember getting Storm Shadow, and I've liked him ever since. My original Storm Shadow is long since gone. I think he broke like a long time ago. I'm pretty sure he's missing both his thumbs as well as his crotch piece, which are pretty normal points of breakage with the O-ring 80s figures, the thumbs and the crotch, as well as the O-ring itself, which is also broken on my Storm Shadow. I may still have the pieces somewhere, so if I even ever find them, I might put them up on eBay. If anything, someone can buy them and repair the O-ring, although the crotch and the thumbs will still be gone, so probably won't fetch that much. Plus, I'm pretty sure all his weapons are gone. They're lost to the ages. I also had the second version of Snake Eyes, or Storm Shadow, sorry, which they haven't released and classified yet. This is the one where he was actually depicted as a Joe in the toy line. Like, this version right here is a recreation of the original release of Storm Shadow in 1984. Was that when Storm Shadow came out? I can never remember the exact date. It's either 84 or 85. I think it was 84 for Storm Shadow. And so he was a Cobra agent at first, and then he switched to the Joe team. And then his second version was 88, I'm pretty sure. And he was a Joe then, and then of course he came out in the Ninja Force in 91 or 92 or something like that. And then they had one more version of Storm Shadow in 94, maybe 93 or 94, before the line ended. And then of course, when it restarted, they created a whole bunch more Storm Shadows. So there's a lot of them out there. He's one of the most created characters in the line. Like the most different versions of him. Snake Eyes and Cobra Commander, I think, are the top two, but Storm Shadow's up there. He's definitely in the top 10 somewhere as far as different versions of him. But he is my favorite, and he's been my favorite since the early days of the line. His card art, the original 1984 card art, was really cool looking. And I love this character. It's one of my favorite in the line as a result. So I kind of have a biased view of him. There's things about him that some people don't like. Some purists who want 100% recreations of the original figures, which is fine for the retro line, but for the standard, I like to see a little differences. And there's little tweaks. There's enough little tweaks in this one to make it a different character than the retro. I do have the retro one as well, but we won't be taking a look at it because I never opened it. It's still in the package. The only retros I've opened thus far are the Crimson Guard and the Gung Ho, because the Gung Ho retro is significantly different than the standard release. So those are the only two I'm probably going to do reviews on, although I will show off the other ones when I do the review for probably Gung Ho. I'll show off the whole collection I've got so far. They're also releasing Duke and Scarlet and Recondo. They're the next three retros up for release, and I'll probably open all three of them because Recondo is my preferred version of Recondo. And Duke and Scarlet, those two the retro ones look so good, so I'll probably take those three out, as well as keep three on card. But for retro card purposes, I'm only going to be doing full reviews of Gung Ho and Crimson Guard, because like I said, I've kept all the rest of them in the box, in their packaging. But anyway, getting into the figure here, you can see the box, which you're used to by now, so I'll just go over it briefly. Emblem, nice cool artwork on the front here, Storm Shadow. This one's number 35 on the line. Here's all his file card info. Legalese on the bottom. More artwork on this side. Continuation of that artwork there, kind of like a gatefold, basically. 35, the window box in here, and then so this is a little different. This is the first figure we see this collage on. This is different from the one that we saw previously. And we got new figures on here, of course. Of course, we got the Vipers, Major Blood, Cobra Commander, Destro, Firefly, the Bats, Baroness, the Red Ninja, Zartan, the Cobra Soldiers, the Alley Vipers, and Crocmaster. And as you can see, Crocmaster is a new figure that they added to the box set on the backs here, as well as the Bats. I don't think the Bats or the Red Ninjas, I think, were on the previous collage, but I don't think the Bats were. And Major Blood, I can't remember if he was on there or not. And of course, we got Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes dueling on the cover, or in the middle. And then we have this silhouette of a figure kneeling down in front of the Arashikage symbol. Arashikage is Storm Shadow's last name. His first name is Thomas. Another reason I like him, since we share the same first name. Don't know who that figure is. I don't think has ever revealed who he was. It might be Kamakura, or it could just be Snake Eyes again, or it could just be Storm Shadow. But it's dark, so you can't really tell. But yeah, his name, Storm Shadow's real name is Thomas Arashikage. He's a Japanese American. He was born in San Francisco. He served in Vietnam along with Stalker and Snake Eyes. They were in a long-range recon patrol unit together, along with a few other guys. And with the exception of one other one, the rest of their group all got killed in Vietnam. And the other one who survived is Wade Collins, who is the father of Sean Collins, who became Kamakura. So, and also Wade Collins was one of the Fred series of Crimson Guards at one point. He was number 2 after Fred Broca. Fred Broca was the original, and when he died, Wade Collins took over as Fred 2. So, and then on this side, we got Duke, we got Spirit, who I haven't covered yet. He'll be coming soon. Lady J and Flint. There's Beachhead. There's Breaker and the Ram Cycle. There's Barbecue, Roblox, Gung Ho, and Scarlet. So, only two figures on this box I haven't, or on this map here, this collage that I haven't covered yet. Crocmaster and Spirit. But they'll be coming shortly. So there you have the box for Storm Shadow. And here we have Storm Shadow. Storm Shadow wears the all-white uniform, where Snake Eyes is all black, which is an interesting contrast because usually white is good and black is bad. But the colors are reversed in this toy line. It's kind of cool. I think Storm Shadow looks really good in the white, and I don't think Snake Eyes would have looked as good in all white as he does in all black. So it's good that they gave Storm Shadow the white. He's got the furrowed eyebrows, the serious penetrating stare. He's got this nice belt with these sculpted in shuriken. The belt is nice and the buckle's painted there. And it's got a hole in the back there that you can line up with the hole in his back. And you can peg the backpack through there. He's got a black belt around his waist. He's got these forearm gauntlets on his arm. Full glove on this hand. And 2 fingers exposed on the glove on the other side. Now, one of the things that some people didn't like about this figure is the original didn't have gloves. He was barehanded, so they preferred that. But there's not really much of a difference between the retro and the original in this one, so. And then down below, he's got the Ninja Tabi boots and the wrapping, which I like the weathering effect, kind of. They kind of did give it a wash. They really need to do this more in some of their other figures. Give them washes. It makes the details pop and makes them look better. You know. They also have that kind of wash on the arms as well, the forearms. But yeah, there's not a lot to Storm Shadow's uniform, but it's classic. Everybody recognizes Storm Shadow, even if you're not just necessarily a fan of G.I. Joe, but you have heard of it. You probably know who Storm Shadow is. Oh, and another thing, his last name, Arashikage, is actually Japanese for Storm Shadow. So his literal last name is his code name in G.I. Joe. Arashikage means Storm Shadow. Or at least that's what I've always been led to believe. I don't know if that's actually true. So if you're Japanese, Storm Shadow means something entirely different, comment down below. But going over articulation... Yeah, he can look down about that far. He can look all the way up. He can do the Exorcist. He's got some good tilt there. He does have butterfly joints on the arms. He can go all the way around. He can get about a 90 degree, maybe a little bit more, maybe like 91 or 92 degree T-pose. He does have bicep cut. He's got the double jointed pinless arms. They wouldn't give pins my boy Storm Shadow. They wouldn't do him like that. He's got up down a hinge on his right wrist, as well as his left wrist. If anyone's going to be ambidextrous, it's going to be a ninja like Storm Shadow, of course. He does have the ab crunch, and since he does not have any bulky overlays, he can go that far forward, and he can almost go 90 degrees back, which I wouldn't recommend in real life because it'd probably hurt yourself. And speaking of overlays, he does have the strap around his torso here, and also around his waist. This is a separate piece as well that moves around, so just so you know. Those are his two overlays. He does have some twisting there. You can get some tilt around the torso. He's got the drop down hips. This one doesn't want to drop down. Or maybe it just doesn't want to. Yeah, there we go. So he can do the Van Damme splits. You would expect a ninja to be able to do that. He can kick out about that far. He can kick back about that far. He's got the thigh cut. He's got the double jointed pinless knees. He does have a cut at the top of the straps and his calf there. His foot can hinge back that far, and forward that far. You've got rocker and peg holes on the bottom. Accessories wise, he comes with a couple of things that go in tandem, kind of. He comes with this hood, as well as this piece right here that is supposed to give the appearance of the hood being down. So, first of all, the hood, the best way to get that on is to take his head off and pop it back into place. Now, I don't like the hood at all. I don't like him wearing it. I think it gets in the way. I think it looks stupid. So I never have him wearing the hood. And of course, this piece here goes on him like that. So it makes it look like he has his hood down. I don't usually display him with that on either, because I think it just gets in the way. It doesn't necessarily add anything to the character. I think he looks much better with it off. So I just display him like this. So these two pieces, I took them off. I put them back in the box, and I haven't seen them since until today when I'm doing the review. And they will go back in the box when I'm done and never to be seen again. He also comes with this, which is just a flowing strap for his belt. And you can see in the back there, it's got a peg right there. And you just snap that on. And now you can have him standing and having it hanging straight down, or having it flowing in the wind, or however you want to do it. He also comes with this backpack, which is really nice, all sculpted black plastic with some red on the fletchings of the arrows, as well as the Arashikage symbol on the middle there. It's a nice backpack. Some textured detail in the middle as well. You can see the two sword sheaths, as well as all these arrows. And they don't come out, but you do get one separate arrow. So, all black with the red fletching. And you can store that arrow in here. There's a hole. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a hole in the middle there. You can slide that arrow in there and just push down on it until you feel it click into place. You don't have to push it too hard. So this arrow is slightly different. It's like these are all painted red all the way through. Not just the fletching, but also the shaft that goes through. Whereas this one has only the feathers, only the fletching on the sides painted, and the shaft in the middle is still black. So he also comes with this bow. So a black compound bow with a red grip. And of course it's got the strings there. These are made out of soft, flexible plastic, but not flexible enough that you should position him holding it like that. You might rip it off. that way, so I wouldn't have him pose with it drawn, because that might cause the plastic to stretch and break. And you can store that on the backpack. You can see there's a little notch in the middle there, a little hole, and there's a peg there. So you just line those up, push it on, and he stores the bow on his backpack. And you can put the backpack on his back, and then the bow falls off. Lastly, he has 2 swords. Unless I can get them focused. There we go. And black hilts with painted silver blades. Nice. And the hilts both have little cobras, little snake heads on the bottom. You can see that there. There's the little snake heads. And one is longer than the other. So, nice looking swords. You can slide the longer one in this top sheath and the smaller one in the bottom. And the sheath both have opening in the bottom, so just in case you accidentally turn it the other way and slide it through, it won't like hit the plastic end and bend or something. So either way you put them in, it'll still work. So Storm Shadow was released in 2022. He came in a wave that also had Spirit and the Cobra Officer and Outback, the Tiger Force Outback figure. I think those were all part of this. Well, they were all released at roughly the same time. I remember I got the Bat, the Alley Viper, Storm Shadow, Spirit, Cobra Officer, and Crocmaster and Tiger Force Outback all in one box. Because I ordered them all from the same place. They all came in roughly around the same time. And they were all sent to me together in one box. So it was a huge box. And I spent quite a while going through all those and taking them out and taking pictures for Instagram and all that stuff. So I think that was probably like the biggest single order I've ever received. Like the biggest single online order. Because I ordered them all at the same time, and the place I ordered them from wouldn't ship anything until it had the entire order in stock. So yeah, I got all those figures in one huge box. So yeah, he came out in 2022, and again, one of my favorite figures on the line. Retro figure came out a little later. They kind of Retro figure came out like 2023, but they kind of announced him before the 2022 figure had even released, I think, which is weird. It's weird when they do that. You know, in the past, repaints were there in case you missed out on the first figure, but they usually came like a few years after the original figure came out. But now Hasbro just releases repaints like within weeks or months of the original releases, so it's kind of weird that they do it that quickly. But anyway, next week on Blast from the Past, we'll be taking a look at Spirit Iron Knife. And he is one of the, just like Storm Shadow, is one of my favorite Cobra figures in this line. The Spirit figure is one of my favorite Joe figures of the line. They did a really good job on this wave in general, because the Crocmaster, Cobra Officer, and Tiger Force Outback figures are all superb as well. and the Bat and Alley Viper. Which again, I know they aren't like technically part of the same wave, but I got them all together, so they feel like they're part of the same wave to me. But all those figures are fantastic, which is a far cry from what we'll get later with the Falcon CoverGirl wave, unfortunately. So the so yeah, next week we'll take a look at Spirit. So comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.